Welcome to Empower Ed, a PIQE podcast where we talk about the issues that matter most to families, schools, and communities. I'm Ileana Gallego, and together we're unlocking the power of education. Today we're joined by Israel Flores Beltran, Strategic Outreach Coordinator at the California Student Aid Commission, also known as CSAC. Israel is a proud graduate of CSU Sacramento with a degree in Communication Studies, and he brings a deep personal connection to this work as a former undocumented student. For the past 4 years, Israel has led efforts across California to help families access the resources they need to make higher education a reality. He's here to talk with us about the FAFSA, the California Dream Act, and other forms of financial aid, essential for any family planning to send a student to college. Hello, Israel. How are you?
Well, Liliana, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us about this important topic. As you know, the financial aid process can feel overwhelming with so many deadlines, forms, and constantly changing requirements. That's why we really appreciate you helping us break it down and making it easier for families to understand and navigate. To start us off, can you share a bit about your own experience with financial aid during college and what inspired you to do the work you're doing today?
Yeah, so I didn't actually get any type of financial aid. I first started going to a community college right out of high school. And I did apply for financial aid, but I unfortunately wasn't able to get any during my first, I guess, time at community college. Finally, once I ended up completing my requirements to be able to transfer to a 4-year institution, which would be Sacramento State, which is California State University, Sacramento here. That's when I was able to finally get some kind of financial aid in order to help for being able to pay for my studies, my tuition. It wouldn't cover everything on my end, which isn't the same for everybody. Obviously, every single financial aid award package is very different from person to person. But that was kind of my experience. You know, it didn't cover everything, but it was good enough for me to pay my tuition and not have to graduate with a huge debt in for college or university. So it definitely helped me out. But like I said, everyone gets a different package. And that was just my own personal experience.
And were you familiar with the process, or why was it that you weren't able to get any aid?
No, I wasn't familiar with the process at all. My family is a first generation. I'm the first one. Me and my sister actually were the first ones to graduate from a university, so none of my family had prior knowledge of anything about financial aid. I believe the California Dream Act actually came out in 2012, or 2013, which was which was the year that I graduated. So up until then, like I mentioned, and I believe you said it in my introduction, was that I was an undocumented student. So I had to apply for the California Dream Act application. And like I said, I believe it came out either 2012 or 2013. So it was the first year that application was available and financial aid was available for undocumented students. So there could have been a lot of things that may have altered the reason for me not being able to get financial aid. But definitely not having the knowledge, because obviously being the first year, both the institution and, students are trying to learn about this. So it's kind of like a give and take type of deal. Now looking at it back now, but yeah, I mean, I didn't have any knowledge about it. Someone finally ended up telling me I could apply, and I did, and it was unfortunate that I wasn't able to get it for my time at community college. Uh, but well, the community college, it wasn't that much expensive. So it was doable. Once I transferred to a 4-year, it got a little bit more pricey. So I was actually really happy that I was able to get assistance from the university itself. They have what's called a Dreamer Resource Center, which is where I went to, and I talked to those the professionals that ended up kind of explaining things a little bit more to me, more in depth about how to do it, when to do it, what is needed, and then I was able to get some financial aid in order to, like I said, be able to graduate and not have a huge debt when now that I like paying any kind of loans or anything. So
Mhm.
I was definitely very grateful
Excellent.
for that.
Excellent. Uh-huh. And that's exactly why I asked, because I think that the lack of information is probably what might affect most of our families or our listeners, right? Just there's so much out there that you don't even know where to start. So for families starting on this journey, what would you say is the first thing they should do, like, or where should they head?
So really, there's for when it comes to financial aid, really there's two main applications here in California. The first application, I'm pretty sure a lot of students and or families maybe have heard of it, which is the FAFSA application. That
Mhm.
was actually the application I had heard of even when I was in high school, but I wasn't eligible for that because in order to be eligible for the FAFSA, you had to be either a U.S. citizen or you had to be a U.S. resident. So there's the in order to apply for the FAFSA, it's based on the student's eligibility, right? So like
Mhm.
if they are a U.S. citizen, U.S. resident, then they can apply for that application, being a federal application, meaning that the student would be eligible for federal aid, state aid, and if the institution that they're going to, meaning the college that they're attending, if they offer their own aid, then they would also be eligible for that. Um, so that's the FAFSA application. The second application that we have here in California is the California Dream Act, also known as the CADAA,
Mhm.
which is more towards our undocumented student population. So no need for a social security number. The student does have to be eligible for something that we call AB 540.
Mhm.
It's
Oh,
basically saying that, the student went to school here in California for at least 3 years, that they graduated from a high school, and or they tried to receive their degree, an associate's degree from a community college. So there's kind of in order to be eligible for the California Dream Act, there is a little bit more of a requirement, meaning that AB 540. But if a undocumented student here, let's say they went to a school in California their whole life, like,
yes.
and I'm just throwing an example out here, like from middle school all the way through high school, then automatically they would be eligible to apply. Um, those are the two separate applications. The only difference between each application is that, again, one of them is a federal application, the other one's a state application. So because it is a state application, you're not eligible to receive federal aid, but you are still eligible to receive that state aid that California offers, and you're also eligible to receive that institutional aid that the college or university of attending
Okay.
can also offer you.
So it's only not the federal aid, but all the other ones you
Not
are
only the
eligible.
federal aid,
Mhm.
and the other thing too that I try to tell the students is that in order to be so, for example, in order to receive that state aid, you have to go to a university or college here in California because you can't grab state aid from California and decide to take it somewhere else, right? So you
Yes.
need to go to a university here in California for that state-based aid.
Mhm.
If you're applying for the FAFSA application, if you're a student looking to apply for the FAFSA application, that federal aid, you can actually take it anywhere with you because it's a federal application. So you could go anywhere in the 50 states and use that federal money there. Two applications here in California, which one you apply to is really dependent on your own personal um
Like your
status
status.
here.
Mhm.
Yeah, your status here. But also what we have done with the California Dream Act too is because of the current political climate that we are in,
Uh-huh, exactly.
some parents don't want to give information to the federal government.
Mhm.
So those students that are what we call mixed status students, because
Mhm.
meaning that they were born here in the US or they're US residents, but their parents are undocumented or don't have social security numbers.
So these
They
students
they
would
can
be
still apply
applying.
for CADAA.
They can
They can
apply for,
still apply for the CADAA.
because
Yeah.
they would usually be able to apply for the FAFSA, right? But because of the
hmm
political climate, they're not doing it, so they can apply to CADA. And
Yeah,
then,
they can apply to CADAA, but they have to also understand is
uh-huh,
that it's not based on their parents. So applying for this financial aid, whether it's the FAFSA or the CADAA, it's not based on their parents' document or their status here in the U. It's everything is based on the student.
yes.
The only reason we're saying that it's available for them to apply for the CADA is because we do realize that there are some parents that don't want to give their information to the federal government. So now we don't want those students to feel like, oh, now I don't qualify for anything. So we much rather have them apply for the CADAA, where we don't share any of the parents or students
That was it.
information,
Mhm.
in order for them to receive at least some kind of aid, right? Like, so they may not get that state aid, but they'll still be eligible for the other two,
So the
state aid.
information, it's, let's say, safer in the CADA. Is that right?
It's safer because, again, it's a state application. It's the CADA application is administered by us, by the California Student Aid Commission, or
Mhm.
CSAC. So it's administered by us, and
Okay.
we don't share any of the information with anybody. It's purely based for financial aid purposes only.
Oh, okay, perfect. Great to know. And can you tell me, there's been a lot of talk about the changes that FAFSA has gone through recently. Can you walk us through what's new, what families need to be aware of this year, etc.?
So the changes were actually done about 2 years ago, um, through the FAFSA application, which it made it a little bit harder for people to apply, because there was a kind of like a way for people to get their identity validated. That process was really kind of like mess in a way. They've made it a lot easier for the FAFSA. So when we say that the FAFSA is actually like, it should be like a 20-minute application, it really is. Um, they removed a lot of questions from there. I think they went from 108 questions to like 40, 48 or 50, 52, something like that. So there's a lot less questions. Um, in the FAFSA application, they have something called the Direct Data Exchange, or DDX, which is basically saying you have to agree to it. You have to approve and agree to it when you're filling that application out, because that pulls all your tax information from the IRS. So
Okay.
once you filed your tax information and it's asking you, hey, we need your tax information from 2 years ago, to see what you're eligible for, it pulls all the information automatically from the IRS. So that's why you need to approve and consent to it. That's something that the California Dream Act doesn't have, is we don't have a direct data exchange with the IRS. So everything that you're inputting when it's asking for all the tax information, everything has to be put in manually. So it's very important for the parents and or students, depending on, their dependency, or if the students were working, um, to have their tax information with them. So they're able to, the application tells you, which line, this is what it's needed from this line, and et cetera, et cetera. So those are kind of the differences between both of them.
Mhm.
Um, so the changes were made about 2 years ago. The application for FAFSA is very much easier. It's not very long to do. And all your tax information is automatically put in there. Um, you could choose up to 20 schools now, whereas before it used to be just 10 schools. So if you're looking, if you're somebody that's looking to maybe look at different application or financial aid packages that you may receive from different schools, you could add up to 20.
Okay.
Same thing with the CADA, up to 20. So, uh, um, yeah, the California Dream Act application very similarly mirrors what the FAFSA application does, but obviously in their own separate ways. But yeah, it mirrors very, very closely to what the FAFSA application is.
Okay. Okay. Are there any like common mistakes that students or parents make when filling out the financial aid applications? And how can they avoid that?
The most common mistakes that we've seen and or happen, it's actually, for either, for both applications, it's actually writing your full name and using your own personal email. Um, some
Really?
some
Those are the
people
common mistakes?
for common mistakes, yeah, that
Wow.
sounds kind of a little crazy, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, you want to make sure that you write your full name in, how
Uh-huh.
it is exactly on your report card, on your birth certificate, whatever it is on your that you have for your school. The reason being is because the applications, they need to match your school records. So in
Mhm.
order, so they could identify you, this is you're this student with this name, etc. So they could match those records for your GPA, because it's based on, also some programs are based on GPA for receiving financial aid. So for example, our Cal Grant program, if a student is eligible for a Cal Grant A, they have to have a minimum of a 3.0 GPA. There's also a factor about, how much parents can make, but there's also like different things, but there's a GPA requirement for that. So if you write your name incorrectly, or you don't spell it how it is on your school records, then it's going to be tough for the applications to match your GPA.
Makes
And
sense.
then people are like, well, I didn't get a package. It's like, well, maybe, there might have been some kind of error there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this technically also, this happens very often too with, like, let's say twins, like if they have very similar names, right? Like, for example, and again, I'm just using myself as like an example. Um, uh, if my name were to be Israel, and then I had a twin that his name was Isaac,
Uh-huh.
or Ismael, something like that.
Uh-huh.
So because they're very similar, the system may think like you're submitting the
Okay.
same application for the same person, because technically, if you're a twin, you're born the same day, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera, et cetera. So you want to make sure that everything is correct when it comes to that, depending on, on the documents. And then another thing is using a personal email. As much as we tell people, use your own personal Yahoo, Gmail, whatever you use for receiving your email, use your personal one. Don't use a shared account if you have a shared account. Because if you ever get locked out of, your application, you need to be able to retrieve your password or your username.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to make sure you use your personal email when you're doing so. Really, when it comes to like making mistakes, it usually comes from more
The more
that
simple
kind of
ones.
side,
Mm-hmm.
the simple stuff,
Mm-hmm.
um because the reason also, like I said, being is that the FAFSA application pulls all your tax information from it pulls all your tax information from the IRS, so you don't worry about any of that.
Mm-hmm.
In the CADAA, there may be a couple of, simple mistakes that you may miss when you're inputting it manually, but you could always go back and change it. So
Okay.
that those things you could change. The things that you can't change, and you have to go through it. It's like a kind of like a longer process, is changing your name or social security number, because then now you have to go and turn in, legal documentation to make sure that that's you, right? So um the simplest thing is the one that makes the most
That make
that
the
makes it the hardest.
mistakes. You
Yes.
mentioned the Call Grant Aid. What is the Call Grant Aid?
So that's one of the programs that we have here for state-based financial aid. It's
Uh-huh.
called the Cal Grant program. And I actually would need to look up the numbers, but we have, for Cal Grant program, we have three, I guess, like subsections to it. We have a Cal Grant a Cal Grant B, and a Cal Grant C.
Mm-hmm.
The A is the student must have a minimum of 3.0 GPA, and the parents must be low to kind of like medium income.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so the amount that they make a year must not exceed a certain balance, depending on how many are living in the household, right? So each household, depending, if you like, let's say I'm throwing an example here. If that household has a family of 5, they cannot make over, I want to say it's like 156,000 a year. And with
Okay.
the student if they're, as long as they're making below that,
Mm-hmm.
and the student has a 3.0, then they're eligible for a Cal Grant A,
But is
meaning
it
that if
part
they
of
were
the
to,
CADAA or part of?
it's for both of them. So
Okay,
once
it's
you
for
submit
both.
the
Okay.
FAFSA or CADAA, you're eligible for everything. So there's no
Okay.
other application for Cal Grant. There's no other application for any of that stuff. So you're
Oh, okay.
automatically
Okay.
being enrolled into all those. Um, so it just really depends, where your GPA is, how much your parents make. If,
Mhm.
for example, you're not eligible for a Cal Grant like the Cal Grant, regardless of what tier, then we automatically put you into something called the middle class scholarship,
Mhm.
meaning that, you may not get Cal Grant money, but you'll get some kind of financial aid for being able to be used at your university or college.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
there's several programs that we have, for a state-based, and that's just one example.
And everybody, you think that everybody should apply, right? Even if you think you
We
won't.
always
Mhm.
Yeah, we always say, apply regardless if you think you're eligible or not.
Uh-huh.
There are some universities that may offer you financial aid not based on how much your parents make.
Okay.
Um, so we tell everybody just apply, have an application on hand. It's not gonna, if it does you good, great. But if
It
it's not,
doesn't
it's
hurt.
not gonna do you not
Mhm,
bad, right? It's not gonna
mhm,
do you any bad if you don't do it. It's gonna take you maybe at max, I mean, and this is exaggerating, at max an hour,
mm,
to do it. So, see if you're
mhm.
eligible, and you never know what happens, right? So, like, let's say, um, right now you guys are, you and your family are doing good, and you didn't submit application, um, and then I don't know where, dad gets fired or something.
Mhm.
Now, because you have an application in the system, or oh, sorry, you didn't file an application. Because you don't have an application in the system, now the school can't, like, rework the numbers and offer you a package.
Uh-huh.
So so if you were the opposite, where you did file an application and, your dad gets fired, now you're able to go and talk to the school and tell them, "Hey, we're going through
Okay.
financial hardships because, my dad got laid off because X, Y, and Z." But now since you do have an application in the system, the financial aid office will rework the numbers and basically be like, okay, because now they're not making what they made, from 2 years
Yes.
ago. Now we're eligible. Now we can give you some kind of financial aid or give you more financial aid because of that.
Mhm.
Of that mishap that, dad got fired or something, death in the family or something happened, right? Um, so yeah, we always just say just fill it out. You never know if you're gonna need it. You never know where you're gonna
Of
go through.
course.
So, again, it at max 1 hour. If it takes you an hour, go ahead. 1 hour out of your day, fill that out, and if you get aid, great, and if you don't, you never know if you need a backup plan
And it has to
for
be
anything.
filled out every semester, right?
Every year. So every
Oh,
year
every
you want to
year.
fill it out.
Okay.
Yeah. So every year that you're going to college, specifically your bachelor's. So once you get your bachelor's degree, this is a question that we get pretty often actually, is that, I received my bachelor's and I'm looking to get my master's or want to
Mhm.
get my doctorates. Unfortunately, this financial aid that we have here, is mostly for undergrad students. So those that are looking to get a associate's degree or bachelor's. Once you get a bachelor's degree, it's kind of like, I don't want to sound mean or anything, but it's kind of like you're on your own.
Okay.
You can fill out an application, which, if your school offers financial aid for a master's program, then they may give you that. But you would have to kind of do your own research on which schools offer what money for what program,
Okay.
or you would need to apply for, scholarships at that point,
Uh-huh.
because this financial aid, whether it's federal or state, it's for undergrads.
Okay.
So it's every year until you receive your either until you receive your bachelor's degree or until you go above um the amount of years receiving financial aid. So I want to say Pell Grant, for like federal aid, is about 6 years.
Okay.
And then Cal Grant, I want to say, so state-based financial aid, it's about 5. So there is still a cap. So it's not like you go to
Uh-huh.
school for 11 years and receive financial aid every single year, right? So
It's
there is kind of
still
like a
it's still a lot of help. 5 or 6 years
right,
left
right,
help,
right.
8,
Mhm.
yeah, it would be
Yeah.
great. Okay. So I understand that we are around the time that they should be applying for FAFSA. Do you have any deadlines that families should be aware of?
Yes, of course. So, right now the application, we have reverted back to our old days. Unfortunately, the past couple of years have kind of been late starts and late deadlines, but now we are back to our where we used to be before. So our application opened up October 1st
Okay.
of this year. So it is going to be available all the way until March 2nd of next year. So, March 2nd, 2026. But this is where the but comes in, is that, if you're looking to go to a 4-year institution, so if you're a student looking to go to a UC, a CSU, or a private, you have until March 2nd to fill that application out. But if you're looking to go to a community college, you have until September 2nd. So there's kind of two
Okay.
deadlines for different schools. So for a 4-year institution, our state priority deadline is March 2nd. And for
Okay.
our community college-based deadline is September 2nd.
And you know what I've always wondered is like it's already open, right? So why wouldn't they fill it out now? Why wait until March? Is there a reason?
So we would generally suggest to fill it out as when we do talk to our students, we tell them to do it as soon as possible because
Okay.
there may be some deadlines at the school itself. Each university itself may have their own deadline for filling out an application. We wouldn't happen to know every single school that has their own deadlines, but we say, as soon as it opens, try to get it as soon as possible. The sooner you do it, the quicker we would be able to like find out your need, right? Your financial aid need. Schools can start working maybe on a financial aid package for you and stuff like that. So,
Okay.
um, the worst thing about doing it last minute, if you're a procrastinator, is that the website may go down. So that
Okay.
usually it has happened in the past couple years is when the deadline is March 2nd and you're trying to get it done March 1st, but so many people are trying to get it done March 1st that the website, doesn't work or
Mhm.
too many people are trying to log into this. So try to get it, students try to get it done as soon as
So
possible. We definitely
everybody's
recommend.
eligible. We're encouraging everybody to
Right.
already look into it now. Okay. I thought there
Right.
might
You know,
have
it,
been a reason, like I don't understand why wait until March. So I thought maybe there's something that I don't know that you have, any requirements or something, but everybody is eligible to start looking into it now.
Yes,
Okay.
and I mean, if you're, Thanksgiving break is coming up, take an hour out of your Thanksgiving break to fill it out, or Christmas break is coming up, take an
Mhm.
hour out of Christmas break to do it. It's not like I said, it's gonna take you an hour max,
Okay.
to do it. So it's not gonna take you that long, if and the important thing too is that if you do need to make any edits after the first time you've submitted it, the day of your first submission is what counts. So even if you
Oh,
make
okay.
edits after March
Perfect.
2nd,
Mhm.
because you submitted it, your first time submission was before, then that's your original
That's when it
submission date. It
counts.
doesn't matter it doesn't matter what kind of edits you make after the first time.
Okay.
So once you do your first submission, that's your submission date. You got it in on time. You can make edits to it anytime after.
Okay. Wonderful. So before we leave, I would like you to share with us the website, CSAC website, and social media accounts.
Yeah, of course. So our CSAC website is actually CSAC, so CSAC.ca.gov. So that's going to be our website where you can find a lot of resources, information, how to apply. Um, there's a lot of things that we have on that website. We offer also Cash for College webinars, which are webinars that we put on ourselves. It's usually through Zoom.
Mhm.
It's about an hour. Again, it's about an hour where we kind of go through a line by line of what you need to do in order to get the application submitted. And then if you're looking to follow us on our socials, it is CA Student Aid. So CA
CA
Student
Student Aid.
Aid.
Mhm, mhm.
Yes.
And I think we're actually having a webinar with you, PIQE and CSAC on Catch for College, right? In November this month.
Yes, we're
Mhm,
actually doing two webinars with PIQE
mhm,
in November. The first one is going to be November 6th. It will be from 5 to 7. That webinar is going to be in Spanish. So for anyone, whether it's parents or students that want to attend, that one is going to be fully in Spanish. I will be presenting that one. And then we will be doing another webinar November 13th,
mhm.
again from 5 to 7, which is a week after the 6th. And that one will be fully in English. So we're offering two of them for
Okay.
with PIQE. Obviously gracefully here to be able to work with you guys. So yeah, two of them. If you'd like to
Likewise.
attend, go ahead and I believe PIQE has a registration, so
Yes.
to go ahead to attend for that one.
We'll add it here also in our podcast. Okay, perfect. Israel, thank you so much for being here. It was wonderful to understand a little bit better, even for myself, about the FAFSA. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. We know the financial aid process can be confusing and at times overwhelming, but you don't have to go through it alone. There are resources and people ready to help you every step of the way. Every student deserves the opportunity to pursue higher education, and understanding how to access financial aid is a powerful first step. So be sure to check out the California Student Aid Commission's website and their social media for more tools and updates. And if you find this conversation helpful, please share with someone who you think might need it. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time.